I'm Pops, and I'm going to talk about the new Batman comic books, issues 129 and 130. And you are immediately going to ask yourself, Pops, why did you not do a video on 129? And I'm like, well, because it was really kind of a filler episode. Like it was just contrived stuff. I feel like, one of my theories is a lot of these things get drug out so they can sell graphic novels and things like that. And this was one of those issues where it's just more of the continued stuff. And Failsafe was this great concept in that the Tower of Babel story in 2006 by Grant Morrison had Batman's secret plan of how he could take down all the members of the Justice League is sort of brought to life here with what Batman's like, well, what about me? What do I do? A failsafe for Batman himself. And that's where failsafe comes in. And there's been I hate the fact that these issues have backstories, but they've added a little backstory to how some of this came into play. But basically, the robot is called failsafe. Batman is saved at one point by the Justice League, but of course it knows how to take down the Justice League, which it does effortlessly. Batman ends up at Atlantis at one point. I mean, it's just, there's so many different contrivances here that move this along. I don't like this look of Aquaman, by the way. That's like one of the few criticisms I have of some of the art. The art is actually pretty good most of the time. I really love what Jorge Jimenez does. I love the depth in scenes like this with Aquaman. Not totally thrilled with some of the designs, but it's okay. I loved it all. I thought this all went really, really well in the grand scheme of things. But then we end up moving the action to the moon for this big scheme that Batman has. Well, Batman's fighting himself, right? So failsafe is always like just ahead. And what ends up happening here, the explosion sort of like goes off and you end up with Batman basically in space. That's how this ends. Now, he has like a little face mask thing on right here. So it's important to kind of keep that in mind. But immediately, this was the shot you end with, and you're like, what? Now, this is the backstory like I was telling you about, which I don't really care for the backstories. I just there's something that I have sort of like an aversion to them rather than not trying to judge them on their merit. They're trying to elaborate on the development of failsafe and some other elements. Now, in the title, it talks about the absurdity. Well, the absurdity comes into play where, as I said, Batman ends up in space. Like that's how the issue 129 ends. And I'm like, oh God, okay. So what are we going to do here? I want to get this one, open this up just to be a little bit bigger. So my problem is that there's comments. So Chip Zdarsky has written a very good sort of retro type story, and I enjoyed it for the most part. But here you have this inner dialogue of Batman surviving in space, moving around, and I'm immediately like, okay, so there's a term called verisimilitude, which is like it has to appear as though it could be real. Like there's a sense of realism. And I mean, this is kind of a silly thing. We're talking about robots fighting superheroes in tights and capes. But what I mean is the laws of physics and nature and things like that. You need to have plausible explanations on when they're broken, when things go against the rules that you have established. And there's a line that comes up later about Batman's suit. But for all we know, there is no way to believe Batman is just not frozen and dead here. He has no special suit on. In issue 129, there was an opportunity for him to somehow get a suit on. And you have this cutaway to this little graphic as though he would have on a special suit, almost like an Iron Man suit or something like that. But that's not what he has on. He has on his suit. Like, I hate this so much. This took me completely out of it. It ruined the whole thing for me. And I kid you not, notice he's grabbing onto this. He basically rips off this propulsion, and he's going to go flying back to Earth. Look at this thing that he's hanging on to now, right? Okay. So watch this. This is how it goes. You see his levels change. He's literally burning up into the Earth's atmosphere. You see the levels as though that's supposed to be tension. I admit, again, Jorge's work is great. Look at it. The mask just melts. So if he didn't freeze to death, now he would be burning alive. And it just keeps going, and it just the absurdity. It's like the suit. This is where the comment is like the suit can handle it, but the mask cannot. And I'm like, I'll hold my breath. I'm like, dude, you are holding. Let's go back. You're holding on to this That's it. Like your fingers and stuff are strong enough to hold on to this. You'd be moving it like 9. There's a reference to like 9 Gs. Dude. Okay. I don't know what Chip Zdarsky did. I don't know if he had a party to go to or he shortchanged the rest of the story that he'd been working on, or he wrote himself into a corner, maybe. I mean, this is beautiful art of Batman in this situation, but I hated all of this, right? Then we end up, well, so Clark is in a regenerative chamber to be exposed to solar energy to basically heal, because Failsafe had gotten 2 basically kryptonite daggers and just got him in him right away. And the fact that Batman can hold his own against Failsafe the robot, whereas, you know, Superman and the other Justice League members could not. It's just, it's absurd at times. This is Tim in this book, which doesn't match Tim in his own series, by the way. So again, this is part of DC. This is a big problem that I'm finding as I'm going back and reading some older issues that I'll talk about in other videos. But this is Failsafe showing up, right? Superman goes into battle. He knows he's going to face Failsafe with the kryptonite, and then what happens is, unbeknownst to Superman, he has another Failsafe plan where basically he can turn his heat vision on himself. Basically, Superman's basically blasting himself, right? It's just, yeah. Well, Batman's got a plan. He's talking to Tim about his plan. So it becomes like Batman and Robin, right? Very cool graphics, very cool action. I really enjoyed all this. I don't necessarily care for like the colors changing, because I really love the color scheme here with the way they look. I wish that Bat was yellow, not black, but that's okay. Anyway, they're doing their thing. And then Batman, his plan is literally the scheme after these issues of this indestructible robot is, see this little click he's doing here. He's going to click it, right? So he has this chance to put this in. And literally he's adding additional programming of, quote, compassion. The solution to bringing down Failsafe is, I need to make him care. What are you doing, Chip Zdarsky? You were doing so well, and your solution is, if Failsafe just cared a little bit and had some compassion, this could come to an end. No. Oh, it's what separated us. I may have been Dark Knight. I may be Vengeance, but I still care. And now, so do you. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I hated this. Oh, I just could not believe the absurdity of that is the great strategy of the Batman. And it doesn't really work, right? It's still like, I need to eliminate Batman. I still need to eliminate Batman. Now I did I skated over it because the backstory is like issues 125 or so. Failsafe was activated because Penguin is allegedly killed by Batman, right? That's what everybody thinks. Now the backstory is Catwoman finding the real Penguin still alive, but Failsafe needs to do this, and then basically Failsafe's like, nope, I need to kill the Batman, and then Tim's screaming, which is very emotional, and he says, it's okay, it'll be, and then just basically Failsafe just vaporizes him, and Tim just drops and cries, and Failsafe just leaves. That's literally how this ends. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And I thought this was the teaser for another story. And then like, no, that's not. This is just how it's going to go on. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then there's the backstory here, which is the same thing. This is the backstory I was telling you about. And all that's fine. I just wish all that stuff was its own thing. I don't want them in my split comic books like this. So it had great moments. 125 to 128 were fine. Great art. Jorge Jimenez did amazing work. I don't believe he's the artist as we move on. I think that's what I saw with 131. There was so much hope here that we'd be back on track with sort of a 90s feel, some great like Batman action, thought-provoking, cool stuff. And then it came up to Batman in space, from moon to the earth, surviving what should have killed him in just absurd ways. And then the solution to Failsafe was just have him have compassion programming, but not really, because he still kills Batman. What the heck? I didn't even look at the editor. That's the problem. The editor should have been like, no. That's what Pops would have done. No. Maybe you like this stuff. I don't know. You tell me. I can't.